The ADL has written a piece. Hasan Piker, what you need to know. The ADL, Apartheid Defense League, has officially put me in their anti-Semitism glossary, their extremism database from their Center of Extremism, published yesterday, updated today from the Center on Extremism intro. You know, I want to see who else they have on their website, right? Yeah, they where can I find the actual database? Like, I want to see Center on Extremism. Like, where is the, like, who are some of the other characters on here, right? Like, who's on the hit list? I want to see what kind of crazies they got on here. Apparently, they deleted Charlie Kirk from the list, and not because he died. They deleted Charlie Kirk from the list because they were worried that the Republicans were yelling at them. He's no longer considered an extremist, which is cool, I think. I mean, we are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame. That's right. So good on them. Good on them for combating the real extremists in the United States of America. Hasan Piker is a prominent Twitch streamer and political commentator who has a history of rhetoric that sanitizes violence and denigrates Jewish people. As of April 2026, Hasan Piker has a combined 11.3 million followers across all social media platforms. He has expressed support for designated terrorist organizations and anti-Semitic ideas on many occasions. Piker is a nephew of Chunk Weigert, CEO and founder of the Young Turks, a political network that has veered into explicit anti-Semitism in years. Piker began his career streaming for TYT in 2016, started his own Twitch channel in 2018, streaming full-time by January 2020. Piker's Twitch account has been suspended on multiple occasions for violating the platform's policies, such as for using the phrase Zionist bleep on a live stream. Rhetorical themes. Piker has a history of rhetoric that sanitizes and justifies violence and terrorism against the state of Israel, of using derogatory rhetoric towards Jews. This includes claiming that Orthodox Jews are inbred, which he subsequently apologized for in response to the backlash. He calls for the eradication of Zionism and demonizes Zionism as a mental illness. No notes. Support for terror and violence. While much public attention has been paid to Piker's commentary about 9/11, Piker's expressed explicit support for U.S. designated terrorist organizations such as Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. That's fucked up. They did not mention the DFLP here. The Maoists are getting cooked once again. Even in Palestine, if you are a Maoist, you are being undermined. Okay? That's right. The fraction between the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the DFLP was a very real one. There are 3 total Maoist third worldists Palestinians out there, and they decided to build their own political movement, their own political faction. And guess what? I can't believe that they do not have the DFLP here. They just mentioned PFLP. On numerous occasions, he also falsely claimed that the well-documented sexual violence committed by Hamas and other terrorists on October 7 did not take place. Piker's casual and frequent assertions of support for terrorist groups and the violence they commit normalized the use of violence to his millions of followers. I'm glad you've been getting all this negative press, at least now that you're well known enough that people don't think I'm unemployed because I know who you are. Celebrating or whitewashing U.S. designated foreign terrorist organizations. I'm a lesser evil voter, and therefore I would vote for Hamas over Israel every single time. Interview with Pod Save America, April 2026. As a lesser evil voter, I will once again repeat my harm reductionist credo. Wait, why are they putting sick? This is from a tweet. Like, this wasn't. Isn't that something that you put when you're taking a quote off of like something I said? Or are they saying this is sick? Can't believe he said that. As a lesser evil voter, I will once again repeat my harm reductionist credo. Hamas is 1,000 times better than the fascist settler colonial apartheid state, and the real harm happening here is that another illegal stolen land sale is taking place at another synagogue. Overall, what my favorite flag is, Hezbollah. Look it up. I'm not even kidding. It's actually a dope flag. It's got an AK on it and a fucking holding it up. Fear and Podcast. Fear and Podcast mention. Let's go. I do not have a single issue with Hezbollah as a form of militancy trying to incur penalties on the genocidal state of Israel. Twitch stream with Ethan Klein, May 2025. What the Houthis are doing, on the other hand, is resistance. And it's not only moral, but it's just. There's no comparison between Israel and Hamas. One is a militant resistance comprised of orphan soldiers born into a 77-year occupation. The other is an ethno-religious supremacist apartheid state with nukes doing a genocide backed by the USA. Pikers justified and endorsed every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank, and said it doesn't matter if they're DFLP. Oh, DFLP mentioned! DFLP mentioned! The three Maoists. The three Palestinian Maoists, they get a mention here. Respect, respect, respect. DFLP, Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine. PFLP, Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, or even former Fatah militants, okay? It's perfectly legal, perfectly valid, and perfectly moral. Twitch stream, August 2025. October 7, rape denial. The United Nations and multiple international human rights organizations found that Hamas and other militants committed sexual violence during the attacks. Piker, in contrast, has claimed that Israel polluted the evidence pool and claimed that Sheryl Sandberg's documentary Screams Before Violence is basically the unsubstantiated claims, that some of which were directly found to be incorrect. Literally, this is a correct statement and much nicer than what many others have said, by the way. Every single, that is so funny that they posted this. Objectively, a correct statement. These are straight up mainstream views on top of being objectively correct. Anyway, derogatory rhetoric about Jews. Piker has alluded to the classic anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories, such as familiar conspiratorial claims about the 2026 U.S. military operations against the Iranian regime. For the past 38 days, Operation Epstein's Fury has been continuing by a bunch of fascist monsters that got tuned up by Israel, where Donald Trump basically was the first and hopefully last ever president that would be foolish enough to be at the mercy of Benjamin Netanyahu and to follow through on his lifelong project of continuing his death and destruction campaign. Piker's remarks during a campaign event with U.S. Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed, literally posting my W's. Yeah. Do they have this kind of smoke for Maggie Haberman for writing in the New York Times about how Benjamin Netanyahu is basically in the room? Do they have the same kind of smoke for Anthony Blinken or numerous other officials like John Kerry? Or do they have the same kind of smoke for Benjamin Netanyahu, who has personally admitted that this was his lifelong dream and Trump was basically dumb enough to go along with it? On multiple occasions, Pikers also used the terms inbreds or psychopath to refer to Israeli and Orthodox Jews during his live streams. He has since expressed regret for using the word inbred. Yet, no regret for using the word psychopath, though. Piker has stated Israel's actions in Gaza will inevitably turn Israel into a nation entirely comprised of messianic, inbred, ultra-Orthodox psychopaths with a new nuclear arsenal. Again, no notes. Piker asserted, dude, this is so funny. This is like reading this out loud. Like, I mean, obviously some of it is like out of context, but like most of it isn't. And I just, they're so open about the fact that, this is just like anti-Israel. Okay. It's like a highlight reel. I don't have any issues with these quotes. Your haters are so fucking, man. I just looked at the quotes of some of your tweets. Yeah, no, my haters are psychotic. Piker asserted it is literally the Jewish KKK brigades out there in the West Bank. Just a bunch of fucking bred hicks literally doing pogroms to the Arab population. No notes. Again, completely correct. Oh my God. In the beginning, like in a couple months in October 7, every week there was another fucking psychopathic settler, inbred fucking douchebag, wearing fucking military fatigues, shooting at another Israeli dude, getting fucking executed by some inbred 15-year-old fucking douchebag in military fatigues. Again, no notes, correct assessment. That's literally what happened. There were unbelievable amounts of friendly fire going on between the settlers that were hastily armed by Itamar Ben-Gvir with American weapons, mind you. And then they kept shooting each other. There's a video version of this article. Oh, they just posted it while
talking.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, we'll do the article. Extreme anti-Zionism, similar to Piker's use of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and tropes. By the way, no anti-Semitic conspiracy theory was ever mentioned in this article, unless you're just considering that the Trump administration being stupid enough to get goaded by Benjamin Netanyahu to go and wage war on Iran to be an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, which once again is not an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. That's just reality, observable reality. Okay? Similar to Piker's use of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and tropes, his vilification, also tropes, sure, his vilification of Zionists and open calls to see Zionism destroyed are an attack on the right to the self-determination, oh no, and the statehood for the Jewish people and their ancestral homeland. This rhetoric encourages the targeting of Jews for a notion that plays a central role in modern Judaism. In a totally just world, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. You shouldn't even let someone be the local dog catcher if they ever exhibited any sort of positive feelings about the state of Israel. No notes. Denigrating Zionism and mocking former October 7 hostage Adon Alexander. Zionism is a mental illness. Holy shit. Shame on everyone who said this American dude who volunteered to join the Nazi army was some kind of hero. It's true. I did say that, and I stand by it. These are some of my greatest hits. Zionism is an exterminationist ideology built around ethno-religious supremacist values. So when people say, oh, well, you know, I'm a liberal Zionist, I want there to be a Jewish ethno-state, I'm like, okay, what do you mean? It's like saying you're a liberal Nazi. You want an Aryan majority ethno-state. Like, what are you talking about? Interview with Representative Rashida Tlaib at the DSA National Convention. The same goes for AOC and Bernie Sanders as well. I've been very critical of Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, I think, is a very important political figure in contemporary American politics. But I think his liberal Zionism was completely unacceptable. I'm just like, be truthful, be honest. Like, be honest about the conditions that led to October 7th. Also true. And once again, you can have disagreements, reasonable disagreements with your comrades. Okay? This is a normal and healthy function of political organizing. Remember, Holocaust trivialization. Piker's engaged in rhetoric that served to minimize the Holocaust, including by insinuating that Anne Frank would have supported the Houthis and equating Israel with Nazi Germany. Piker's messaging obfuscates the enormity and gravity of the Holocaust and millions of people perpetuating dangerous ideas and attitudes. This is my favorite type of shit. They go like, oh, he's doing Holocaust trivialization. And then the comparison is, I said a brown guy, okay, that experienced his own genocide when he was a teenager, okay, in Yemen, is no different as Anne Frank experiencing the Holocaust, okay? This is not trivialization. You're just a fucking racist, okay? In your mind, you're like, no, there is something unbelievably special about the Holocaust. How dare you compare victims of genocide in other countries to victims of the Holocaust, especially, God forbid, you ever make a comparison between a victim of a genocide in Yemen, a brown person, an Arab nonetheless, to, you know, Anne Frank. That's not Holocaust trivialization. That's the entire purpose of Holocaust education. Never again means never again for all, not never again just for Jews. Okay? That's not how this fucking works. During a discussion about a pro-Houthi anti-Semitic Yemen-based pirate teenager, they just like kept adding stuff. Yemen-based pirate teenager. Piker previous platform, Ethan Klein asked, do you think he's like Anne Frank? Piker immediately said, oh, of course, absolutely. That's why we have Holocaust studies, right? That's why we have genocide studies in the entire field to specifically understand exactly how Nazi Germany got to that position. And I think that, you know, you might even disagree with me on this, but that's where Israel is. That's where Israel is at right now. They have become an incredibly angry culture, an incredibly angry country. Misogyny and racism. Piker uses his streams and other activities cross between mainstream and fringe spaces, at times moderating his language with the former audience. But on his live stream, Piker's rhetorical style often relies on inflammatory, racist, or misogynistic statements delivered in a sensationalist, just joking manner. To that I say,
legalize comedy.
Yeah, that's right. This is, you know, one of your faves, Jonathan.
Legalize comedy.
People have been scrubbing archive footage and finding that settler guy from that cover. Oh, yeah, I know. In one June 2023 live stream, Piker suggests that billionaire Watts Pilson should only be allowed to do date rape to other millionaire failed daughters. Okay, this is, at this point, this has been robbed of its context so much that it's just taken an entirely different life of its own. there's no way to even address this. You just have made this up, okay? Not that it fucking matters. That's not what I said at all. At this point, it's like telephone. The game of telephone has reached a totally new life in and of itself, where they're just like, they're basically saying like, oh, Hasan is pro rape at that point. Like, it's just fucking unbelievable defamation. Always defaming league, and also Apartheid Defense League. Yeah, shocking. Shocking coming from the institution that primarily defends Israel, which had a pro-riot. Remember when Israel had a January 6th style pro-riot where they successfully extracted the 6 concentration camp guards from Sde Tayman that the Israeli government had apprehended in order to prosecute for raping Palestinian prisoners in Sde Tayman, sometimes to death? Yeah, unbelievable. They had a pro-rape insurrection and it succeeded. And also Benjamin Netanyahu only a couple weeks ago apologized for even trying to prosecute the Sde Tayman rapists, okay? Apologized publicly. He said, oh my God, I'm so sorry that we even thought about prosecuting you after you did a rape in Sde Tayman on camera, caught on CCTV footage, okay? That is the country that the Apartheid Defense League is choosing to defend, while also having the audacity to claim I'm fucking a rape. Psychopaths. In response to a 2025 Twitch viewer who criticized Piker for talking about how black people vote for and for not speaking out about the situation in Sudan, Piker responded that other black people who wish to engage in radical activist language could suck my fucking cock. That's also, again, unbelievable levels of telephone where it's just like, it's just been slapped up so much. Again, interesting that it's the ADL doing this. Once again, defending the country that has sterilized Ethiopian Jews. Okay? Just remember, oh boy, you think I'm anti-black. First of all, dedicated my whole professional career to combating anti-blackness, combating white supremacy, and ironically enough, actively have talked about Israel's deep embedded anti-blackness and white supremacy. Once again, very strange. This is like when Fox News does this shit. It's like, you're Fox News. What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. He reacted to a Vietnamese pro-Trump BBC guest in 2020 by calling her a South Vietnamese motherfucker, like Christian supremacist, psychotic fucking living in America now, and being able to talk that shit on a stream, telling her to go back and live in fucking South Vietnam in the same conditions. Yeah, and the conditions under the South Vietnamese dictatorship that we had established that she seemingly has so many sympathies for. You know, people were literally lighting themselves on fire at the time to protest against said South Vietnamese dictatorship. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Influence. While Piker associates with some extreme anti-Zionist organizations, he has also been profiled in major media publications and appeared on platforms across the political spectrum. Political spheres. Piker is interviewed and at times campaigned for prominent left-wing politicians affiliated with the DSA. DSA is the largest socialist organization in the U.S. and is known for its explicitly anti-Zionist position on a national level among some of its chapters and committees, support for U.S. designated groups, and the Hamas-led October 7 terror attack on Israel. At least since 2020, Piker has verbally expressed support for and interviewed DSA members, DSA-affiliated politicians, for those who are associated with the groups such as AOC, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, Senator Bernie Sanders, and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. You know, real villains, the real villains of the bunch. Okay, some of the most popular politicians in the country. Okay, extreme anti-Zionist. What does that even mean? A person with, a moral compass, who is uncompromising and an anti-fascist. Okay. Nevertheless, he continues to be a sought-after figure among those sitting elected officials and political candidates, viewed as someone who can boost their profile and reach potential voters, even though he does not have political experience. What do you mean I don't have political experience? Buddy, I'm a political commentator who's been doing this and working with organizers for, 13 years at this point. What more experience could I potentially have? Piker is increasingly engaged in direct political activities and on-the-ground organizing and campaigning since 2025. I've been doing this for far before 2025, by the way. It's just so funny that only now they've chosen to pay attention to it. He attended a DSA National Convention in August 2025 and in April 2026 campaigned in person with DSA-backed U.S. candidate Abdul El-Sayed and U.S. Representative Summer Lee, a former DSA member in Michigan. He also, by the way, they know I've been doing political stuff and actively campaigning alongside politicians because they wrote an article in 2020 about how my moderation team was so unbelievably good at targeting right-wing extremism that the AOC stream that I did all the way back in 2020 had my moderators on the AOC stream side as well, and they got tremendous praise from the ADL because back then the ADL didn't just exclusively engage in like pro-Israel shit. They did have like a fairly competent team, not dissimilar to the SPLC. Where they would, cover right-wing radicalization, right-wing extremism. They would pretend to care about other shit as well in an effort to, fuck you. In an effort to, this is going to be in the anti-Semitism glossary. Hasan Piker said fuck you to a chatter who was simply waving the Israeli flag before banning them. Anyway, add that to the list. Click. One more. No gang signs in the chat. No gang signs in the chat. Not allowed. All right. Yeah, he also fundraises for some DSA candidates on a stream such as Oliver Larkin. A fundraise for so many more, but it's fine. Anti-Israel movement. Piker has served as a featured speaker at high-profile national events and convened by groups that together represent vast swaths of the organized anti-Israel movement in the U.S., many of which are known to support terror organizations that have a history of harassing Jewish people. For example, Piker spoke at the National March on Washington for Gaza in April 2025 and the second annual People's Conference for Palestine in August 2025. The organizers of these movements include prominent anti-Israel groups such as Palestinian Youth Movement, Answer Coalition, Students for Justice Palestine, Jewish Voice for Peace, American Muslims for Palestine, U.S. Palestinian Community Network, and many others. Ooh, terrifying. Ooh, scary. Both events were marked by calls for violence and pro-terror rhetoric. The National March on Gaza drew thousands of protesters, some of whom openly displayed paraphernalia for groups like Hamas and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The People's Conference for Palestine featured such speakers as Hossam Shaheen, a member of the designated terror group Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, who served more than 20 years in prison in Israel on charges of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder, and calls for those accused of supporting Israel's actions around the world to be taken out. These events and Piker's presence at them demonstrated the ways in which figures like Piker normalize these extreme elements and amplify these messages across fringe and mainstream spaces. While Piker is not a leader in the anti-Israel movement in an organizational or strategic sense, he is recognized as a major figure who can deliver the anti-Israel movement's position to the masses. During his interview with Representative Tlaib at the DSA National Convention in 2025, Piker wore a PYM branded shirt that was created by the group to celebrate the first anniversary of October 7. The t-shirt features an image of a terrorist standing on top. It was a child. It's literally a kid. It's a kid, and there's flowers growing out of the tank, symbolizing that one day this militancy will end and children will be able to live freely. By the way, it's literally, they are describing a child like very clearly celebrating the end of this conflict. Classic. It was a terror. It was a baby of terror. Terror baby. On top of an overturned IDF tank. An innocent overturned IDF tank. Okay. With the caption that read in Arabic, Gaza is the cemetery of occupiers. Piker has also appeared in PYM social media content. In March 2026, Piker joined left-wing anti-Zionist organizations Code Pink, Progressive International, and the People's Forum on a trip to Cuba. Conclusion, taken together, Piker's record of support for designated terrorist organizations and derogatory rhetoric about Jews represents a dangerous pattern that his millions of followers are exposed to regularly. His growing involvement in electoral politics and mainstream media amplifies these messages far beyond fringe spaces. So, this is it. This is the thing. So for the people who are wondering, like, why do they have this entire website, right? Like, why do they have this page? Like, who the fuck would, read any of this, right? Who would read any of this? And the reason why they put this out there is so that it's easy for like Richie Torres and other, stooges of Israel to just like make it seem like they're you know, in tune with some of my most dangerous rhetoric, right? That's the whole point. The reason why they put that out there is not even just for the SEO. It's so that there's an easy, clickable website that you can go to. And then when Dana Bash is covering me, she'll be able to just like do pull quotes, boom, 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 to say like, this is why he's radical. This is why he's dangerous. The difference, of course, is that the ADL doesn't have a lot of motion any longer. I mean, it'll make its way into like Chat GPT or whatever, right? Sometimes. But yeah, ultimately, the Anti-Defamation League put it out there to make defamation easier. Yes, that's why it's the always defaming league. A friend who works at MS Now said this article got blasted to a bunch of booking producers and anchors. Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. So they write this article and then they send it to all the booking producers, not realizing that those booking producers, if they're under the age of 45, are already familiar with my rhetoric, with my commentary, with what I do. But most importantly, what does a booking producer care about? They care about analytics. Okay? So they already know what value I bring to a show when I go on a show. So they don't give a fuck about any of this stuff, right? Like, especially because they're like, yeah, we would love to have Hasan on the broadcast because he would bring an unbelievable amount of eyeballs and attention to the broadcast, you know? Which is precisely the reason why this kind of stuff doesn't really matter